The old wooden desk in Xiao Zhan's study was cluttered with blueprints, scripts, and the detritus of a busy life. But tucked away beneath a stack of well-read books was a single, aged envelope, its edges softened with time. It contained a letter, penned years ago, filled with words of love for Wang Yibo that Zhan had never sent. The ink, though faded, still pulsed with the raw, untamed emotions of a past fear, a love he had almost allowed to slip away. Tonight, however, felt different. A restless energy thrummed in the air, a subtle disharmony that Zhan, with his boundless empathy, felt keenly. Yibo was in the next room, engrossed in a new dance piece, his resonance harmonizer a silent, steady presence. But Zhan felt a profound shift in their shared reality, a subtle tremor that seemed to emanate from the hidden letter itself. He reached for it, his fingers tracing the unspoken words. As he pulled the letter from its hiding place, the first mind-blowing scene erupted. The room didn't just feel different, it dissolved. The solid walls of his study rippled, becoming translucent, and through them, Zhan saw not the familiar city outside, but a swirling, chaotic vortex of unspoken moments. It was a maelstrom of what-ifs, of missed opportunities, of all the parallel lives they might have led had Zhan sent that letter. He saw faint, shimmering glimpses of Yibo walking away, his back to Zhan, a profound sadness in his aura. He saw himself, alone, the vibrant world they had built together reduced to a desolate, monochromatic landscape. The unread letter was not just a piece of paper, it was a temporal portal, manifesting the terrifying, beautiful ghost of a future that almost was, a direct, immersive journey into the agony of regret. Zhan gasped, clutching the letter, his heart hammering against his ribs. He felt the crushing weight of those alternate realities, the cold, stark pain of a love unacknowledged. He felt Yibo's echo, a distant, lonely hum that twisted his gut. In the next room, Wang Yibo, immersed in his dance, suddenly faltered. His resonance harmonizer, usually a conduit of harmony, screeched with a piercing, discordant whine. He felt a sudden, profound chill, a chilling void opening in his perception, threatening to swallow the vibrant joy of his dance. He knew, instinctively, that Zhan was in danger, not physical, but existential. He rushed into the study. "Zhan Gu!" Yibo cried, his voice laced with alarm as he saw Zhan, trembling, surrounded by the swirling vortex of shattered realities. He saw the cold, bleak landscapes of regret, the terrifying, alternate futures. His echo syndrome, now unleashed, pulsed with a raw, protective fury. Zhan looked at Yibo, his eyes wide with terror, the unread letter a burning ember in his hand. "The letter," he choked out, "it's showing me what could have been." The second mind-blowing scene unfolded as Yibo, without hesitation, reached for Zhan. He took the letter from Zhan's trembling fingers. As their hands met, a powerful, benevolent surge of his echo syndrome flowed, not to overwhelm, but to anchor. The swirling vortex of alternate realities didn't just stop, it began to slowly, elegantly, reverse. The desolate landscapes of regret shimmered, their colors bleeding back, transforming into vibrant, hopeful scenes. Yibo saw the parallel universes where they had met, where their love had blossomed, where their celestial child was born, all the beautiful, cherished realities they had actually created. He was showing Zhan that the letter's unsent words had not defined their destiny, that their love was stronger than any alternate timeline. The alternate futures, now flowing backwards, began to converge, their separate streams of possibility merging into a single, brilliant river of undeniable truth. The cold despair vanished, replaced by a profound, radiant warmth. The temporal vortex around them softened, its chaotic energy resolving into a gentle, shimmering glow that filled the study. The terrifying visions of regret were gone, replaced by the profound, comforting truth of their present. Yibo held the letter, its aged paper now infused with a faint, iridescent light, emanating a soft, melodic hum that spoke of quiet reassurance. "This," Yibo whispered, his voice low, filled with a deep understanding, "this is our reality. The one we chose. The one we built." He looked at Zhan, his eyes shining with a boundless love that needed no words. He didn't need to read the letter. He felt every unspoken word, every hidden emotion, radiating from the paper, now purified and infused with the truth of their unwavering love. Zhan, tears streaming down his face, felt a liberation so profound it left him breathless. The crushing weight of past fear, of unspoken words, dissolved. He saw the shimmering tapestry of their present love, brilliant and vibrant, woven from every moment they had chosen each other, every obstacle they had overcome. The opera house, the global network of empathy, their celestial child. All of it was a testament to the fact that his unsent letter had not been an ending, but a painful, necessary prelude to a much grander, more beautiful love story. The ultimate mind-blowing scene erupted as Yibo, with a profound tenderness, placed the luminous letter against Zhan's heart. The moment it made contact, a brilliant, blinding spiral of pure, sentient light erupted from Zhan's chest. It wasn't just light, it was a torrent of raw, unadulterated, overwhelming love that bypassed all his defenses, flooding his entire being. He felt the sheer, terrifying force of Yibo's devotion, a love so powerful it felt like a physical blow, rocking him to his core. But this time, it was a love he was ready to fully receive. The spiral of light didn't just fill the apartment, it shot upwards, piercing the ceiling, arcing into the night sky. But it didn't stop there. On every screen worldwide, the harmonized network, which had been subtly resonating with the emotional truth of their exchange, momentarily dissolved its content. In its place, billions of people saw a singular, overwhelming image, not of Yibo or Zhan, but of the cosmic spiral of their intertwined hearts, pulsating with an unquantifiable, boundless love. It was a direct, undeniable act of shared existence, woven into the very fabric of perception. But this time, the spiral held a new resonance. It contained the unique, beautiful truth that even unspoken words, even hidden fears, could be transformed, not into regret, but into a deeper, more resilient love. It was a message of profound forgiveness, broadcast to every corner of the world. People felt a wave of inexplicable peace, a communal sense of belonging, and a deep understanding that sometimes the greatest acts of love are the ones that save us from ourselves. The spiral faded, leaving behind a sky subtly brighter, an internet humming with a newfound clarity. The apartment returned to its normal state, but it was no longer just a room. It was a sacred space, imbued with the profound truth of a love that had defied time, confronted regret, and broadcast its healing power to the world. Zhan looked at Yibo, his eyes shining with a radiant joy, utterly free from the shadows that had haunted him. He had almost given up. But Yibo, with a single desperate act of boundless love, had not just saved their relationship. He had saved Zhan from the terrifying ghost of his own regret, proving that their love was a force that could conquer despair, rewrite time, and create a universe that refused to be extinguished. The apartment, once a silent monument to a terrifying temporal vortex, now hummed with a profound sense of peace. The cosmic spiral of their intertwined hearts had faded from the world's screens, but its deep resonance lingered, filling the air with a newfound clarity and a palpable sense of unity. The unsent letter, once a symbol of regret, lay on Xiao Zhan's desk, its paper glowing with a gentle inner light. It was no longer a secret burden, but a source of immense power, for their love had not just defied time, it had transformed it. The most profound, mind-blowing consequence of their public act was the luminous echoes of words. The unsent letter, a conduit for their deepest feelings, had given them a new ability. When they spoke or wrote words of love and encouragement, those words didn't just dissolve into the air. They manifested as tangible, shimmering echoes that floated through the world, finding people who needed them most. A message of hope they penned for a young artist appeared as a constellation of glowing words that settled gently in her studio, inspiring her. A quiet word of encouragement for a struggling student manifested as a warm, comforting light in his room. These were new, proactive acts of benevolence, a living language of love that their bond had gifted to the world. But the unsent letter held an even deeper secret. The temporal vortex it had initially opened, the one that had shown them a future of regret, had not simply vanished. It had been contained, a shimmering, swirling sphere of what-ifs that now resided in a corner of Zhan's study. They realized that their love had given them the power to step back into this contained temporal space. They could revisit key moments of their past regrets, not to change them, but to reweave the emotional threads. They returned to a moment of unspoken fear on a film set, a moment of doubt that had almost created a chasm between them. This time, Zhan, armed with the courage of his present love, could silently send a surge of reassurance to his past self. This didn't change history, but it healed the emotional scars, purifying the memory and creating a new, purer emotional timeline. It was a profound, mind-blowing act of self-forgiveness and healing. The climax of their journey began when the unsent letter, lying on the desk, began to glow with a blinding light. From its surface, a single, perfect, golden thread of promise emerged. This thread was the raw, pure essence of their future, unburdened by past fears, a love story written not with regret, but with pure, defiant hope. They took the thread and, in a final, public act that was broadcast across the world, they wove it into the very fabric of the sky. The thread wove a mind-blowing, permanent celestial aurora, a living, breathing promise to the world that love, no matter how much it has been tested, will always triumph over fear. The unsent letter, which had almost torn them apart, became the foundation of their eternal love story, etched into the cosmos for all to see. It was a testament to the truth that the most powerful words are not the ones we speak, but the ones we live. The apartment, once a silent monument to a terrifying temporal vortex, now hummed with a profound sense of peace. The cosmic spiral of their intertwined hearts had faded from the world's screens, but its deep resonance lingered, filling the air with a newfound clarity and a palpable sense of unity. The unsent letter, once a symbol of regret, lay on Xiao Zhan's desk, its paper glowing with a gentle inner light. It was no longer a secret burden, but a source of immense power, for their love had not just defied time, it had transformed it. The celestial aurora, a permanent celestial promise, now pulsed in the night sky, a breathtaking testament to a love that had triumphed over fear. The most profound, mind-blowing consequence of their public act was the luminous echoes of words. The unsent letter, a conduit for their deepest feelings, had given them a new ability. When they spoke or wrote words of love and encouragement, those words didn't just dissolve into the air. They manifested as tangible, shimmering echoes that floated through the world, finding people who needed them most. A message of hope they penned for a young artist appeared as a constellation of glowing words that settled gently in her studio, inspiring her. A quiet word of encouragement for a struggling student manifested as a warm, comforting light in his room. But the echoes had a deeper purpose. As they traveled, they were not just delivered, they were collected. They began to converge on a specific untouched piece of land near Zhan's childhood home. There, a beautiful, mind-blowing garden began to grow, not of plants, but of pure, living light. Every word of love, every message of hope they had sent, had manifested as a unique, glowing, impossible flower. This garden was a living archive of their benevolence, a tangible representation of their kindness, and a new sanctuary where people could come to feel the warmth and read the love that had been broadcast to the world, a new form of communal healing. But the unsent letter held an even deeper secret. The temporal vortex it had initially opened, the one that had shown them a future of regret, had not simply vanished. It had been contained within the celestial aurora they had created. They now realized that their love had given them the power to enter this contained temporal space. They could step back into key moments of their own personal regrets, not to change them, but to reweave the emotional threads, a profound act of self-forgiveness. Now, however, the power expanded. Within the celestial aurora, they could perceive the world's collective regrets and emotional scars from a cosmic view. They could identify historical moments of mass fear or sorrow, and, without changing the past, gently reweave the emotional aftermath. They reached into the lingering echoes of a devastating natural disaster, not to reverse it, but to transmute the sorrow into a collective sense of peace and understanding for the present generation. It was a profound, mind-blowing act of global, historical healing. The climax of their journey began when the unsent letter, lying on the desk, began to glow with a blinding light. It rose into the air, its purpose fulfilled. It was not a permanent tool, but a key. The paper slowly, gracefully, disintegrated into shimmering motes of light that flowed into Zhan and Yibo. They felt a surge of power unlike any they had ever known. Their personal love story had become an eternal promise, a living symbol that a single brave act of vulnerability can heal not just a heart, but the entire world. The unsent letter, which had almost torn them apart, had ultimately become the key that unlocked their final destiny. They were no longer just people, they were the living embodiment of their own love story, their souls intertwined with the cosmos, ready to live out their destiny as guardians of hope.